So start with boys and ghouls again.
Boys and ghouls.
Nope. Not ready. Okay, now.
Boys and
No,
ghouls.
give it a second so that I can cut around the audio again.
Boys and
Too long. Why are you waiting so long? Right after I stop speaking. 1, then go.
Boys and ghouls.
I didn't.
I don't know what you want.
Yeah, that's for damn sure.
Oh, you got me again.
Yeah, got him.
Boys and ghouls, you're about to enter a world.
Stop. Okay. You see how I'm looking at the camera?
Yes.
Okay.
Boys and ghouls, you're about to enter a world filled with spooky happenings. Ooh, it's Halloween time here at Don't Start Me Talking. I'm Rick Owens.
I'm Bennie Williams.
And this is Halloween. Don't Start Me Talking.
So today we're talking about Halloween.
Yes, it's Halloween. It's spooky season, and I like it.
It is. As we said before, we had very different experiences with Halloween.
Yes.
His favorite thing is Halloween.
I love it. It's
Loves it. Show him the mask you made.
I made this mask. It's from The Last of Us. It's
Yeah,
going to go over my dumb, stupid face and make it look better. And then I can be...
See? Like a clicker.
Yeah, like a clicker. And then I can scare the children when they come trying to steal my candy again.
Yep.
Ain't happening on my watch, buddy. Right?
Not on my watch.
Those 3-year-olds don't know what's coming.
I'm just going to do a little aside here. In Grand Theft Auto, I go around, I'm a jerk. I kill people all the time, Grand Theft Auto Online.
Yeah.
And what I'll do is I'll find somebody who's not doing anything, not causing a problem, nothing. And I'll just go up and kill them, and then I'll text them on the phone in the game. And it'll say, not on my watch. I love doing it.
Gets them. Gets them every time.
I, on the other hand, do not like Halloween a ton. And I guess I'll get into the reasons why.
Hey, go ahead.
When I was a little kid, I enjoyed Halloween. My favorite ever Halloween costume that anybody ever did for me was my mom made me a giant mattress that turned me into SpongeBob. And it wasn't a perfect costume. The pants kept falling down and stuff. There were a lot of issues technically with it.
Yeah.
But at that time in my life, I was obsessed with SpongeBob. That was like everything to me.
Still are, apparently.
Kinda, yeah. This is the holdover of that. So I grew up, I don't remember everything I was for Halloween. I just don't have those memories. We had a big Halloween party at my house when I was a very little kid. I used to like it a lot. I got to 6th grade, and I maybe have talked about this before, but I feel like we cut it out. Like, we did a couple of podcasts that we never put up.
Yeah.
Because they were just us trauma dumping.
Yeah,
basically,
just really sad stuff.
especially me.
Nobody wants to hear it.
But basically, I was bullied by a bunch of kids that were my best friends at the time, and we would go up to each other at a certain point, and they would slap you in the back and give you a 5-star, which is like this on your back, just smack as hard as they could do, and I hated it. Then they started kicking people's shins under the table, and so I got the brunt of that. So I'd come into school, and I'd get my wind knocked out of me and just my shins in utter pain, like every day.
Every day.
And I got sick of it, so I started fighting back at first, and then it just got more aggressive. Because once I started fighting back and doing it back to them, they started...
They match going, it, and then you have to...
Exactly, and it incrementally
escalates.
kept raising until finally it was so painful that I like couldn't do it anymore, and I couldn't take it. So there were 3 of those kids. I went to the principal's office, and I like ratted on everybody. Because I was like, I just want this to stop. Can we sit down and like talk about this so that this doesn't happen anymore?
Yeah.
Well, they set us down in the office, and they all threw me under the bus, and they go, well, Ben does it the hardest. Ben's the one who hits us the hardest. So I ended up getting ISS, which is in-school suspension, for the first time in my life. I had never been in that kind of trouble ever. I'd gotten into fights with people and things in elementary school, but it was always like slap on the wrist, send you home. It was the first time I was ever in trouble for anything. I will never forget the assistant principal who turned on me and all that stuff. And it was this traumatizing, awful week, and it happened right at the beginning of the school year, 6th grade, when I just got to a new school, And I thought my life was over. I thought that was my reputation and everything else.
And everything's awkward already. Like,
right.
Just baseline awkward
Yeah.
when you're in like 6th grade.
Course.
That's brutal. Yeah.
So I ended up in ISS during Halloween. And my brother had gotten in trouble for something else. I don't know if it was homework or what. It wasn't like a fight like me. And
wasn't something cool like you.
No, he was in 8th grade. And they took us to the ACI and drove us around the ACI, going from building to building. And my dad would be like, all right, that's the juvenile center right there. That's where they'll put you till you're 18. And
ACI is Adult Correctional Institution, right? It's
yeah.
a big prison in Rhode Island.
It's the prison in Rhode Island. It's in Cranston.
A lot of mobsters went there and shit like that.
Yeah, sure. I took a trip there years later, and it wasn't traumatic at all for me.
Yeah.
I'll talk about that another time. But, so this happens during Halloween, and my dad's going, that's the juvenile center. That's where they'll put you if you're real bad. Maximum security right there. And this is where you'll end up when you turn 18 if you're not maximum security. Just like showing us the buildings and being like, this is where you're going to end up.
Just being like a scared straight but lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, see that? You're going to get traded for cigarettes in there, huh?
Pretty much.
You want to be, yeah.
And I'm in 6th grade, so at that point I'm 11.
Yeah.
Or maybe even 10. And I'm like, I just remember I had like this meltdown in one of the stalls at school, and like this other kid a year older than me who was like a real bully and was in trouble all the time, like really talked me down, like, hey man, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
But I lost Halloween that year, and the way that I lost Halloween was like, not only did I lose the ability to get a costume, to go out, do all that stuff, I also was just sent to bed with my brother Tom. He was in the same room as me. So the two of us were in bed, and we just had to listen to all these other kids outside coming up to the door to get candy.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the whole thing. And then right after that, my friend came back to me, one of the friends who had been kicking me and all this other stuff, came back to me at the line for the bus at the end of that week and was like, hey, man, how you doing? Never said a word about it. None of them ever said a word about it again or anything. Of course not. They threw me under the bus. It sucked.
That area of kids, like 6th grade, I'd say, like going into like middle school, high school, are the shittiest group of people on earth for that reason alone.
Yeah.
Like it's water off a duck's ass as soon as it happens, and then like you're left holding the bag.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, I tried to do everything
like,
right.
I literally lost the holiday that I looked forward to probably the most at that point.
And that's like one of your last ones to go as a kid, right?
Yeah.
Like,
well, so then the next year I said, Halloween didn't work out for me last year. I'm not going to do it this year. I'll hand out candy to the kids. And I'm in 7th grade, so I'm like 12. Yeah. And I was sitting on my front, like there's a 3-step thing in the front of the house. And I was sitting there with the candy, and 2 of those guys that were involved in the thing the year prior, because the other kid moved to like Warwick, they come down the street with like 5 other kids, and we're all friends.
Yeah.
They come up, they raid my candy bowl, and they take me out for the night to go trick-or-treating with them. And I just like grabbed a trench coat and went out because I didn't know what else to do. I had a trench coat, grabbed it, went out. Anyways, after that, I didn't have great experiences with any Halloween thereafter. I didn't do anything for 8th grade. 9th grade, I did the drama club, which is a funny. I'll tell this one because this is related to Halloween.
Go ahead.
We'll get to Rick after I tell these.
I live Halloween every day.
I was with the drama teacher at my school and another student, and we were paired up because we were doing what was called TOTS, trick or treat, so kids could eat. It was a food drive. You did it a couple days before Halloween. Yeah. This particular drive, you'd go out on Halloween and you'd collect the cans. So we got paired up with the teacher, this other student and I, and we go out in her car, and she gets us Jitters, which is the iced coffee in town. Very popular. If a teacher ever got you Jitters, that was like a big deal in town. In that town, anyways, for me.
Teacher never got me nothing.
See? So we're going along, and we collect all the food. We do the canned food drives. Again, trench coat, no costumes ever. Just, I guess I'm a private detective or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And the other girl was a mime, and our teacher was Tinkerbell. And at that time, she was a little bit overweight. Not like enormous, but a little bit overweight. She was sweating all night, and the wig that she had on was like a little girl's Annie wig almost, but like blonde. And it was just And when I say Annie, I'm talking about the redhead from the play.
Yeah.
But it was like blonde Goldilocks curls, and she looked crazy by the end of the night because it was like muggy and hot and everything.
Yeah, dude.
We're coming down Anaquatucket Road, which is the road back in North Kingstown High School, and she's going 50 or something like that. It's Halloween night. It's dark. There's kids out. So, woo, like right away we get stopped by a cop, and you're in the car. I'm in the car behind my teacher and this other student, and the teacher is going, "Okay, let me do the talking. Like, don't say anything." Mm-hmm. So, hi, officer, and like goes into the whole thing. We're on the canned food drive, blah blah blah. These are two students of mine. Like, this is the drama club, blah 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 blah. We got see all the canned food, haha, like helping the community. And the cop just goes, "Ma'am, this is a main road that leads to a school. It's Halloween night, so you got people out. You just got to be careful, okay? Don't be driving like a maniac down these roads because, like, that would be the worst thing that ever happened to you and them."
Yeah.
And she's like, "That, yeah, I totally understand." And he says, "I'm going to let you off with a warning. It's okay. Just drive to school safely. Drive home safe. Just looking out for the kids." "All right, thank you, officer. Thank you." And puts up the window, and she's still sweating bullets and, puts the car back and drive, and she's just like, "Don't ever tell anyone." So, so that was a fun memory of Halloween. But that was really the last one that I did anything for or like had.
Oh, man.
It was always I was just handing out candy from then on. And I've grown to kind of dislike most of the candy that I'd get at Halloween, like Kit Kats and stuff like that. I still like, but a lot of that candy is just really bad and bad for you.
Yeah.
And like the last time I had a lot of Halloween candy all at once at Halloween, I got a really bad skin infection. I still to this day think that those two things are sort of connected. I was never big into costumes. The SpongeBob one was kind of out of character for me, where it was like a big costume. A lot of years as ninjas, stuff like that. Maybe a Power Ranger or two.
Rangers, yeah.
But I just never really got super into it. And then I didn't like horror movies growing up. I saw that movie The Others, and that scared the shit out of me. And that was it. I was like, I don't like horror movies. My brother tried to show me Sin City, and I couldn't watch Sin City because Elijah Wood was a cannibal.
Yeah.
And it just freaked me out. He's wearing like the Charlie Brown shirt, and I'm just like, what is this? So I don't know. It just sort of passed me by. And like, I'm into filmmaking and I love movies. So I've gotten back into horror as I've gotten older. And I think that there's a lot in that genre that's fantastic.
Yeah.
But horror is also a genre where there's a lot of schlock and a lot of crap. Like, you like and enjoy watching The Walking Dead. I don't.
I don't enjoy it. I just do it because it's on and I like zombies.
That's a shame.
I love zombies. Like, that's my favorite genre of horror. Like, The Crazies is probably one of my favorite movies to watch, 28 Days Later. Great movie. I just think there's a lot there. And spooky. Last of Us. Love it. Like,
Last of Us was really well done.
Yeah, it's a fucking great story. I enjoyed that whole, adaptation of it.
Yeah.
Daddy Pedro.
My dad did events and stuff, so when we did have like a Halloween party, it was like strobe lights and it was cool. But then all of that stuff just wore off for me from being behind the scenes of events and stuff. So even if I go to like Halloween Horror Nights or Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, these big inclusive Halloween things, or Salem, it's like all lost on me.
I like the pageantry of it.
Sure.
Really, I like people acting goofy and shit, going around, hey, look at me, I'm fucking, Ray Romano from,
yeah.
or whatever. And, it's just a fucking fun time. I don't get too much into candy. I liked Halloween as much as any kid did when I was a child, but as an adult now, like starting from my 20s where, you're going out in the town, you do whatever you fucking want. You're working, do whatever you want within reason. And that's when I really started to love it, was like the freedom of it. And, Providence is right up the road. They always have cool shit going on in there. And like corn mazes and shit. I love that shit.
Yeah.
Fucking
I think
tap me up with that shit.
I think it's weird that the culture has changed so much since we were kids that like kids don't even go around in the same numbers that they used to.
No, not really.
What they do instead is they have all the schools set up their own event, and it's called Trunk or Treat, and you fill your car trunk up with candy, and the kids at the school go around to every car.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is one, it's a more equitable system.
Yeah.
Whereby most of the kids are getting an equal amount of candy. It's not like, oh, you have to go to the good neighborhood for the full bars. Like some car has them, you know?
Because I've lived in places where I was always pretty in the middle of like the town or whatever, so I had good places to walk to.
Right.
But there were kids that I knew that were like, yeah, I'm not really going trick-or-treating because I live in the fucking sticks, you know, and they're a 20-minute drive, and
there were kids who used
Dad
to
doesn't wanna
bust themselves in from other areas of town to go to like Wakefield Highlands, which is a neighborhood in North Kingstown, or like Mountain Laurel, because those were the big houses where they had the good candy.
Yeah.
And as a result, I always stuck to my neighborhood, which was Cole Drive and the area surrounding Old Baptist, where like Browning and stuff, where I used to live. And that was good eats. I mean, like you'd go around and you'd get like a full pillowcase.
Oh yeah,
just in that neighborhood.
Pillowcase was the move. If not
and
that,
when you got older, the fun thing about getting older with it was that some people would give up on the night, and they'd be like, "You're the last one, so take it. Just take the bowl," and you just empty the rest of the bowl, whatever was left from the little kids.
Yeah,
because they didn't want it in the house, and they just were like, "Yeah, whatever you want." So you know,
my love for it probably started like when I was so we had Nick at Night on when we were kids. I think it's still on right now, right? Or like
Nick at Night might be, but
Teen Nick or whatever it was.
Who the hell even watches any of that crap anymore?
Late 90s. I love super stupid campy horror.
Sure.
And like Are You Afraid of the Dark is that.
Yes.
The whole show. They actually have some genuinely like creepy episodes in that. You know, I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube. You can watch it all you want, but it's a fucking, you know, kid show, but like had some, you know, spooky shit in there. Like if you're afraid of clowns, there's an episode for you. If you're afraid of like there's one episode, The Tale of Dead Man's Float, where they have this horrifying skeleton monster all drenched in like red algae and shit. It's got a skull face and it melts as it walks, and it comes out of a pool, and it is fucking terrifying. I don't know whose desk this idea went across, where they're like, yeah, 90s, you know, like extreme.
The 90s were fucking wild.
Yeah.
There's a movie that was hidden. I can't remember the name of it, but there was a Nickelodeon movie that was like hidden from the public because it was considered like too scary for Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
And people have they worked for like 10 years, lost media people to like dig it up. And then they finally got it, and they're like, it's not really that scary. Like not even a little bit.
Yeah.
But
some exec just got a hair across his ass about something about it. Like, no.
I think that the big thing about Halloween when we were kids was also that you had like Disney Channel original movies. So like Phantom of the Megaplex, Halloween Town 1, 2, 3, and I think there's a fourth one with Sarah Paxton instead of I don't even remember what her name was, the girl who played Marnie. Yeah. But Sarah Paxton is married to the director of Barbarian, Zach Kreger, who's Whitest Kid You Know.
Yes.
Whitest Kids You Know is a sketch comedy group.
Great.
Yeah. And Sarah Paxton played Marnie in the fourth Halloween Town movie, which might have been like Halloween Town University or something, or Return to Halloween Town. I don't even remember. But I'll always remember her because she's in the SpongeBob episode that's the Halloween episode, and she's the one who says like something about him being a haunted mattress.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the special features for that DVD for the first season of SpongeBob, where you know that SpongeBob Scaredy Pants is talked about, and she's in the talking head, like talking about that line, and it's just, I don't know, it's just funny to me. But all that stuff was around. Like there were Halloween episodes of Hey Arnold, that great Pumpkinhead Headless Horseman.
Yeah,
thing.
the Ghost Train.
The Ghost Train
they
as
had
well.
Several.
Oh yeah.
Years of that. Like Rocket Power did one. You know, basically every show came out with one. I was watching the other day, like businesses would come out with their own. Like McDonald's had like when they were giving out VHSs, they had a Halloween one.
Oh, Scared Silly. Yeah.
Stupid, spooky shit, and I love it.
We just showed that to my niece the other night.
I
guess that she's obsessed with Grimace, which is concerning.
I watched that the other day just to get that little dose of nostalgia in me, and whoever like made decisions in that, it was just a fucking fever dream of a VHS recording.
I cannot remember the name of the company. I think it's Klasky Cuspo.
Yes.
They're the company that made Rocket Power. They made Rugrats. Real Monsters. That's made Scared Silly.
Real Monsters is a big one.
All of the wacky adventures of Ronald McDonald are basically like a wackier version of like a Rugrats cartoon.
But it was just insane. Because they had like live puppetry before he goes down on like a little slide and it transfers into like a cartoon.
Yeah, and it was bad.
But the puppets, dude, were fucking. You had like
his dog especially.
His dog is like I think they were trying to copy Louis Anderson.
Yeah.
But like the way this fucking dog looks, it's not right.
He has like a snout, like a nose, and then his mouth is under it over here, kind of like Brian from Family Guy, but it's like the wrong proportion. So it just, as a puppet, it looks terrible. And then you get into the cartoon, kind of looks fine.
Yeah. We'll put it up. Bam.
Yeah.
The dog.
Sunday the dog.
Sunday the dog. He represents the Sunday that you can buy at McDonald's.
Just like Grimace used to be a shake thief, and then he became like a representative of the Nuggets, I think. And then Birdie is the early bird. She was the breakfast person. And then Hamburglar was the guy stealing hamburgers. They all had a reason to be alive.
They all had jobs.
Except for the girl who's in the Wacky Adventures of Ronald McDonald show. I think her name is maybe April. But she has no reason to be there except like, oh, that's a kid like me.
Yeah, that's me. I'm that kid. I'm a purple-haired kid.
I'm trying to think, like, because, you know, you can get into Halloween movies, obviously the Halloween franchise, and then you can get into, like, scary movies, you know, Freddy vs. Jason, and, you know, all those franchises.
Freddy vs. Jason, dude.
Yeah, that's one I never watched. I saw, because I sat down and I said, I have to get, like, a core of, like, horror movies I've never seen and just watch them. Yeah. And so I watched, like, Nightmare on Elm Street 1. I watched the first 2 or 3, maybe the first 4 of the Friday the 13th series. I'd already seen like Aliens, Alien 3. Never seen Resurrection. Never seen AVP. I just watched Predator.
Yeah.
About less than a month ago. Great, but I Predator is a movie that I think on the surface looks completely different than what it is, because the movie itself is really like a suspense thriller. It's not like an action movie like you'd think.
Yeah.
This thing is in the jungle. They don't even know it's there. They're there for a completely different reason. There's no reason for this thing to be stalking them in the woods.
Yeah.
And if you go into that movie not knowing what Predator is, it would be way better, because that is a shock that it's a fucking alien and that it looks like that and that it's hunting them because that's a great challenge. That's a fascinating conflict for a character like that.
So that's one of the things that I read somewhere. A good horror story or movie, there's 2 ways you can do it. The evil is out there, or the evil is in here.
Yeah.
And like that's obviously an out there one.
Oh yeah.
The evil is in here is like Jack Torrance, The Shining.
Shining. Yeah.
So like, it's pretty simple when you break it down. Like it's just, and you know, I'm not a big fan of like recent horror stuff, just because like I think jump scares are pretty much like shaking keys in front of a baby.
Yeah, like, it's gotten to the point where it's just not clever anymore, and they always do this fake out like, oh, you think you're gonna get a jump scare, and then it's just some guy like, oh hey,
it's me, I'm an old lady living in the walls. Did you guess it?
That's a big trope now, which is a shame, because Barbarian did it perfectly.
Yeah,
and now it's just gonna be a thing forever. People have no ideas.
They don't.
Other like kids movies that were related to Halloween, there was like The Little Vampire. Casper is a great
I love that.
Halloween
That Casper's
movie.
A great movie. It still holds up. I watched it like maybe like a couple months ago now.
It's
I'm gonna watch it again. It's a great
genuinely a great.
Yeah.
Just sit down and watch it for Halloween movie.
It's got jokes in there too. Like as a kid, you don't get.
Oh, yeah.
But like,
The uncles have a lot of slapstick moments that are
Yeah.
dirtier than you'd expect.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah. As an adult, though, I've really come to love it more because, like I said, that freedom is there. I've got a couple stories if you want to hear them.
Yeah.
You know, you want to hear them?
yeah. I think the people want to hear him.
I think the people want to hear them.
I might be wrong.
So, this happened, let's see, 2014, I think. And I was up with a couple friends in Providence, and we were going from like, so basically any holiday that comes around, Providence will have like block parties and stuff like that. Like you pay to get in, and then you pay for your drinks and shit like that. You know, Pride has a big one. Halloween has a big one. Christmas, I don't know if they have one there, but like, so it's basically a big thing. Providence is a small city. There's a ton of people living there, a ton of young people. There's going to be drinking and, you know, partying and stuff like that. This particular year, we were planning on going to one in the middle of downtown Providence for Halloween. But it ended. They had advertised it being like $20 to get in for the block party, not including drinks or anything like that, just to get into it. And I didn't feel like, you know, jumping a barrier and just getting in and like finding a wristband on the ground. Which, if you go to those places, usually there's one on the ground you can find. Fucking take it.
Yeah.
But they advertised $20, and I didn't have a ton of money that night, so I was like kind of pissed about paying the $20. And then when we got to the place, they were like $40.
Yeah.
I'm like,
of course.
Providence.
Yeah.
You know. So we ended up going to a tiki bar, and there was a karaoke thing there. It was fucking great. We had a great time. Got a little 3 sheets to the wind. It was fucking fun. And so that was like around 10 o'clock at night, and we decided to walk around like, you know, Providence as you do. And we walked down one particular alleyway, and, you know, we're not like stumbling or anything like that. We're just, you know, walking, trying to find the next party. I found some like fairy wings on the ground, slapped them on me. It was funny. And then out of this like doorway in the alleyway comes a guy. And he's like, "Hey, what are you guys doing right now?" And we're like, "Nothing. What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, you want to come in here?" I'm like, "What is it?" And it's me and my friend and one of our mutual friends, and well, 2 of our mutual friends. We both know them. Shout out Corky. And so we both go inside, and it's a strip club. And I had never been in one at that point, and it was the most fucking depressing thing.
Like Halloween?
Yeah, because he was like, "You guys want to come in?" And I was like, "Sure, why not? You want to go in? You want to get?" We were like, "Yeah, let's go in." And then he was like, "Oh, it's a 2-drink minimum." And I was like, "Oh man, I can't afford that." He's like, "All right, get one." And I was like, "Like, was that easy?"
Yeah.
To like talk him down. That's the kind of night they were having, to where it was like they were sending this dude out who was like a bouncer, gave me a card. He was like also a fitness professional, like help you get fit. And like on the backside was like his limo service and stuff. So
Yeah, so he's
I'm
just
like,
a
"Damn,
hustling.
dude.
Yeah.
Hustling. Fuck yeah." So I go in.
I don't think fuck yeah. The hustle culture is killing people.
Yeah.
I think it's awful.
But we end up going in, and it's like a Thursday. So like dead. Like there's a few guys you can tell their asses have worn into the seat. You know, that's where they sit.
Yeah.
And the dancers are like, it's not even like a fully topless or, you know, full. The girls are dancing like with this face on, like, what are you even here for? Like,
Yeah, like yeah.
I'm pretty sure one of them did that. She did like a little sexy like shuffle and then did that, and it was like,
yeah.
you know, like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Next to the stage is Saffron. Saffron to the stage, everybody. Make sure to tip your bartenders tonight. And I just remember like sitting there in these like velvet seats. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh. Everything sticks to it, right?
Weird
And
sensation.
With my fairy wings on. And at this point, we went to a nightclub, and our friend lost his phone. He was freaking out about it.
Of course.
So we ended up having to like go back and get it again like the next day. But like crazy shit like that happens on Halloween all the freaking time.
Yeah.
And like it made me never want to go to like a strip club again unless it's in Atlanta where they actually perform.
So that was something I lived with somebody who was from Atlanta.
Yeah.
And at one point she said like, "Oh, we're going to the strip club. Do you want to come?"
Yeah.
I was like, "No." Because I grew up around here. I've always heard that the strip clubs are
They're
not so
pretty
great.
depressing.
Yeah, that's
Like-
what I've heard.
Like unless it's a
And she looked at me like I was insane.
Yeah.
And was like, "What are you talking? Like, what do you mean? Like, it's a strip club?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I'm not into that. I don't, you know." She's like, "Are you gay?" I was like, No, it's not that. It's like I just don't. It makes me super uncomfortable being in there. And she was like, "I don't. What are you talking about?" She was from Atlanta,
yeah.
so the strip clubs down there are like a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing.
It's fun. You
And
go
they're-
in, and it's an environment.
It's fun,
an
and
atmosphere.
they have an atmosphere there. The strip poles are like 40 feet high. They're doing acrobatics and shit.
Yeah. Around here, it's all like Tuesday night moms.
This girl has like a bruised ankle going on the stage, and you're like, wow, that happened. Are you okay?
Like,
she's like limping on the heel. And you're like, you don't have to wear the heel if you don't want. She's like, boss says I gotta.
you know. Now here comes Candace to the stage, and she comes out with like the neck brace. Just
Candace. It's always that guy, Candace.
yeah. But yeah, I'm not a fan of them. I just never.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the ones up here.
Like I'm
Maybe
planning
I
a
could be
bachelor party
Yeah.
for somebody close to me, and they're not like a coke and hookers guy either. So like we're doing something else.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things that like I guess it's a part of certain people's mindset that's like a part of getting older, and I've just never thought
Yeah,
of
like
that.
I said, I've only been to like one, maybe two, but like I've never been in there and been like, man, I'm glad I went in there.
Yeah.
Because like
How could you?
like the drinks are usually marked up. If they have food, you don't want to eat it.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah. It's a mess all around. It's not a place where I like to hang out. But
yeah,
moving on, Halloween. There was one Halloween that I spent in Florida because I lived down there for school, and it was like a month into school, and I was just at this guy's house. It was his apartment. We were pretty close to campus. If I'm remembering this correctly, I feel like I am. And this dude was a DJ. He played music all night long, full blast, on a turntable with speakers in his apartment, shaking the building.
yeah,
Just like absurd.
the best neighbor.
Yeah, I didn't live in that complex, so I was fine. Just
Yeah.
if the cops came or whatever, I could just leave. But one of the most uncomfortable experiences of my life was being in that apartment. Like, oh my god! And I hung out with that guy a couple more times because he was friends with my producer, and so we went over and stuff. I did like a bunch of stuff for him. Because my dad did lighting and sound stuff, and he also did that down in Florida. So I did one job with him. I shouldn't say a bunch of stuff. I did one job with him where we went and rolled up cables.
Yeah,
And had to fight off a methed out crazy person who asked for my phone, and I gave it to them. And then they came back, and they were like, "Thanks, man. Thanks so much." And I put the phone back in my pocket, go and roll up the cables. We go out to the car. We bring everything out in one load. The guy's like, "Hey, man, could my ride's around the corner. I just need to call him back." And I was like, no, we're just going.
yeah,
Like I gave you the one that I trusted that, you wouldn't steal my phone. And now it's clear that that's what's going to happen if I give it back to you. So no. But that's the kind of person this was. And he's just blasting music all night. And I'm just like, I don't know if this is.
There's a certain way that people on illicit drugs talk, act, and like move around.
Yeah.
I call it the 7-Eleven shuffle because you often see it outside of 7-Eleven, especially
much.
the one in Kennedy Plaza where it's like, man, listen, I could use like if you just give me like $10, I can give it back to you on like Friday, and then like
Well,
you'll be here
in
Friday, right?
Arizona too, you dealt with a lot of people who were like, "Hey man, I'm banned from this store. Can you go ahead and get me a pack of ciggies?"
Yeah,
And it's like,
yeah. You're like, all right, man, and then the owner gets mad at you, like, don't buy shit for her.
yeah.
I'm like, all right, dude, I'm just fucking trying to be left alone. You know?
Like
I'm not doing anything terrible,
You got to be careful that sometimes, because I heard a story once of this guy came up to a guy on the street and handed him a bunch of money and was like, "Hey man, can you hold this for me? Can you hold this?" It's like a bunch of quarters and stuff, and he's like, "No man, I don't want." He's like, "I just gotta go into this place. Can you just hold this? Can you hold this?" He's like, okay, whatever. And he took the money from him, and then he went in, came back out, and he's like, "Here you go." Like, didn't touch any of it. And the guy went, "Oh, this isn't as much money as I gave you. You owe me $20.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Look, man, if you're gonna rob me, just rob me. Just take the." This is Zach Kreger from Whitest Kids. I listen to a lot of their streams.
Yeah.
And he just goes, "If you're gonna rob me, just rob me." And the guy just, it like took him a second to like process it in his brain, and he just punched him in the face and robbed him.
Yeah. Always be prepared anywhere,
The best thing you can do in a city is try your best to ignore somebody to the point where you don't even acknowledge that they said something to you. Like these sunglasses help a lot because they're mirrored. Just keep on walking, baby.
Yeah.
Somebody comes up to you, you're eating a piece of pizza. They go, hey, man. Did I tell this story on the podcast yet? I don't think so. I was in Greenwich Village. I got a slice of pizza from a place called Ben's that I really like. It's in the opening for the opening credits of Louis.
Yeah, we went there, yeah.
Yeah, and it's really good pizza if you're in the village, just big slices. And I went and I got 2 slices of pizza, and I'm like eating them around the corner, just on the street, just, underneath this awning. This guy goes up to this lady down the street, and he's like, "Hey, listen, like, you got $10. I just need $10. She walks by. Another guy comes up, $10. Do you have $10, man? Like, could you give me maybe $10? The guy walks by. I got a mouthful of pizza. I'm just sitting on this, on this, like, leaning on this railing. And this guy, he comes up to me, and he's like, "Hey, man, you got $20? I just need, like, $20. And I have the mouthful, so I'm able to just go, like, keep on eating the pizza.
Yeah.
And he walked away, but in my head I'm going, so I'm $20. I owe like $20. I felt pretty good about myself for the rest of that day. And then it just went right back away.
Yeah. For as bright as your shirt, you sure are a dark individual.
Did I tell you that story ever?
What?
We were sitting around the fire. My brother's friend, who is currently about to have a baby, his wife was his girlfriend and or fiance at the time. And we're sitting around, we're talking about stuff, and I was just super depressed. And I dress like this. I have yellow shirts. My shoes are, maybe not today, but they're blue most of the time.
Like this, dude.
It was like blue pair of DC skate sneakers that were like super blue. And I'm sitting there and I'm just talking about, like, musing about how shitty life is.
Yeah.
And he just turned to me, and it like shook me to my core. He just said, for somebody who dresses in a yellow shirt and blue shoes, you're like the most depressing person I've ever been around. And this is like a guy 5 years older than me. And I was just like, oh man, like, I guess, yeah.
I guess you gotta, that's right. Turn life around.
Yeah. Wish you could, but you can't.
Wish you could,
Only goes one direction, straight down. Yeah. I noticed something when I was watching an episode of a podcast, and we'll get back to Halloween, but I was watching a podcast from Conan with Liam Neeson, and Liam Neeson talks in a way where his voice never rises above a growl.
Yes.
It's just his growl. That's it. That's his whole voice.
I'm from Ireland.
I'm not good at doing
I
his...
talk like this all the time, and I don't know why I do these pauses in there.
But it got to a point where I had to turn off the podcast.
Yeah.
Because I listen to the Conan podcast straight through sometimes. But the whole thing is just in this register. It's way down here.
Yeah.
And it's like almost impossible to hear him. But they've cranked it up. So it's too loud. And it's overpowering everything else. It's this like growl. It was really weird. But anyways, I'm trying to think of other Halloween stuff that I've got. I really don't have a ton of memories of Halloween. It's mostly memories of tertiary, I loved watching Phantom of the Megaplex, or like Don't Look Under the Bed. I liked getting into the spirit of it, and I liked getting the candy. But then once it was over, it was like a relief. I don't like that all the decorations for Halloween are orange. I just don't like that the world gets painted black and orange all of a sudden, then it goes away like a day later.
Yeah.
Especially since that's really, for me, like the colors of Thanksgiving are kind of like yellow and orange and fall leaf colors. And so it just feels like kind of like, I
Well,
don't
it's
know.
the pumpkin, you know.
It's the pumpkins everywhere. Because I don't like pumpkin. I don't like pumpkin pie. I don't like pumpkin spice. I don't like pumpkins. I just don't like them. Pumpkin seeds, disgusting.
I
not
like
for me.
I like pumpkin flavored stuff.
Yeah, you would.
I'm a basic bitch.
Yeah, you would.
When it comes to pumpkin,
Sure.
and
I think some of the variations of things that they make for Halloween are great. Devil dogs with the orange filling.
Yeah.
Same thing with Oreos. There's so much. I mean, there's so many great Halloween candies and snacks.
the Reese's peanut butter cups, they make them into little jack-o'-lanterns. Mm-hmm. They do it for Christmas too, with a little
Where it's
Christmas
tree.
tree. Yeah. Stunning.
Very true.
Good job.
Very true.
Reese's.
Reese's.
Reese's. Give us a sponsorship.
I hope they would.
I've
always liked Reese's Pieces more than M&M's, to be honest with you.
They're better.
If I get like a handful of each of them,
Yeah.
I'd rather eat the Reese's Pieces.
Yeah.
Better.
They are better, and recently M&M's came out with like a peanut butter filled one.
Not as good.
Not as good.
No, not even close.
Not even. It's like it's like leagues.
Yeah, I know a lot of
difference.
people who can't eat Reese's because they're like, "Oh, it's fake peanut butter," and I can't get around that. And I'm like, "Yeah, but it doesn't matter that it's fake peanut butter. It's its own thing. Like
Yeah.
you don't look at a devil dog and go, "Oh, that's not real cream in there." It's like, no, it's like its own thing.
Yeah, it's adjacent. It's like parallel to it. You know.
Yeah, it's better to think of it as a peanut butter flavored snack than a peanut butter cup. But people get all bent out of shape over
Can't
that.
eat a Skittle. It's not real cherry. It's like,
Yeah.
come on, dude.
I'm allergic to red dye number 4.
Look at me. There's nothing else interesting about me. So now you know it.
I always like the circus peanuts. I know people hate those. I always like candy corn. I know people hate those.
Candy corn is fine.
Candy corn is delicious. I don't care what anybody says.
It's fine right where it is.
Get stuck in your teeth. That's the only
Yeah.
thing that I could see. But so do Starburst, and everybody loves Starburst.
Everybody, you know.
Charleston Chew. Everybody loves Charleston Chew.
Yeah.
Bullseyes. Bullseyes are one of my favorites.
Bullseyes.
What's your favorite candy?
My favorite candy.
Because my favorite candy is no.
Yeah. Probably Starburst is up there. Was never into like super sour shit. But
Yeah,
like,
me neither. My brothers kind of got into Warheads and stuff. I liked Warheads, but nothing else.
if I'm thinking right now, like what would I want right now? It's the purple bag, wild berry Skittles.
Okay.
That's a fucking
Okay.
solid one for me.
That's a good choice.
That's a good one. You?
My favorites are all chocolate candies, so
Yeah.
it's a tie between Kit Kat and Snickers. I really love Twix. I think that M&M minis are the perfect M&Ms.
Yeah.
But like I said, I like Reese's Pieces more. So I would say if I had to pick one favorite above all else, the one that comes to mind is Kit Kat. But Snickers is like in a dead heat with it. You know what I mean? Like very close. I could just eat an unlimited amount of Kit Kats, and I can eat a very limited amount of Snickers because Snickers satisfies,
It does.
which Kit Kat does not.
Snickers, sponsor us.
Kit Kat is like opening up a bottomless pit in your stomach and just dumping in stick after stick after stick of Kit Kat, which
Yeah.
is delicious. But yeah, that's what I would say. If I ever got like full Kit Kat Big Cat bars, especially if those were in my Halloween candy, that was like a good year.
Yeah, Kit Kat's a solid chocolate candy that I don't often think of, you know, but every time I see it, I'm like, maybe, you know.
Always hated the families that went to the Dollar Tree and got 5 bags of generic candy for $5, and then they also bought a bunch of crappy Halloween baggies, and they'd throw the Halloween baggie into your bag of candy, and you would open that up, and it would be like loose Smarties,
Yeah.
and like, you know, I like circus peanuts, but it would be like a circus peanut in there.
Yeah.
And like a crappy bank lollipop, and you're like, what is this? Like, you guys didn't even.
I don't mind the Dum Dum pops.
Dum Dums are great. I'm
great.
talking about the flat
Yeah.
square square plastic that you pull off bank lollipops.
Yeah, and it right. The flat ones that like a disc that cut your mouth.
For those of you who are younger viewers, you might not remember, banks used to have lollipops for kids. Some of them still do. That's like a tradition that some of them still do. But for the most part, I don't see a lot of lollipops in banks anymore. And that used to be a thing. Every time I went to my bank, I'd get a blue one because the blue was my favorite.
Yeah.
Blue raspberry. Jolly Ranchers, way up on the list for me.
Jolly
I love Jolly Ranchers.
I like a good Jolly Rancher too, you know.
Until you make the mistake of letting one sit between your teeth and biting down and adding pressure, and then they get stuck together, your teeth and the Jolly Rancher, and you yank one of your teeth out. Until that happens, they're good.
Yeah.
They made a pocket pack of Jolly Ranchers when I was going through college. I don't know if they still have it, but it was like flat, and they were all squares. They were like little, almost like if you cut a die into 3, like little slivers. And perfect. Just delicious. We were talking about weed in the last one that we did.
Yeah.
And how it's been legalized and stuff like that in some states. When they get to the point where real candy companies are putting their stuff out at dispensaries, like Jolly Ranchers puts out like officially branded Jolly Ranchers THC like candies and gummies. That'll be when we've made it as weed smokers.
It'll be like, everybody go home. We've done it.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, LaPlante.
LaPlante's doing fine.
You're doing good.
Yeah.
Giving us oxygen to talk our bullshit.
LaPlante and aloe.
Save a tree.
And then we've got this fella here.
It's a coconut. Halloween. So I had a big one, a pretty cool one actually. It was I think 2018. I was out in Arizona in Tucson, and I went to old Tucson where they used to shoot like westerns, like before Hollywood was like, as Hollywood was becoming like Hollywood.
Yeah.
They had that's where they did a lot of the westerns, and they kept the old buildings, and they did reenactments out there as well. And they turned it into this huge like fairground Halloween. Everyone's like dressed up in like stilts and shit like that, and clowns and chainsaws running everywhere and shit like that. You know, a real fucking good time. And I think they closed it during COVID, but I think someone else bought it now, so it's coming back again. So if you're ever in Tucson around the spooky season, check out old Tucson. It's a really cool place to watch. They have reenactments, like I said.
Yeah.
And like actors and shit like that go around. It's a fun time.
I've never gotten to do there's Halloween Horror Nights, which is the famous one in Universal.
I've been to a couple of not Universal, but ones where they walk through the house and are actors.
Oh well, those are We'll talk about those in a second. But I'm talking about the big budget media companies putting on the show. Halloween Horror Nights seems great, but also like I don't like being scared.
Yeah,
I just don't like the sensation of it because it's like that's a natural thing that happens when you're in a dangerous situation, and I don't like playing with that because then if I get too desensitized to it, when a real person is coming to attack me, my fight or flight will be all fucked up. I just don't like stretching that muscle because when it comes to actually using it, then I'm like, oh, you're just a guy in a mask with a knife. And this is the middle of the night in the middle of
Walgreens.
My town in a parking lot. Yeah, like, wait a minute. This is this is a real bad thing. Yeah, and then I'm already dead.
Then you're headless in a dumpster.
The other one is Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, which I've been to several times, but not because I was at Disney at Halloween, because they started in fucking August. So we'd go in August.
Yeah.
And it would be Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. Pumpkins everywhere. Again, like it's all, whatever. And they turn the haunted the Haunted Mansion turns into Nightmare Before Christmas at Christmas time. Which people hate. People absolutely hate that they do that because it's like, dude, I come to this park to go to the Haunted Mansion, not to go to the Nightmare Before Christmas ride.
Yeah.
And there's like a whole culture of it. But those are good. The Jack-O-Lantern Spectacular at Roger Williams Park Zoo is like a Rhode Island thing. They do
great.
Ton of Jack-O-Lanterns. And
like 1,000, right?
I got to do a tour a couple of years ago. I actually still have the audio of the interview.
Nice.
The guy is doing like the press junket in the back, and he just lists off everything they do. And they have hundreds of standby pumpkins.
Yeah.
And the people come in and they carve every day which ones are rotting away, and they put them up in stages, and then they go out and they swap out every single pumpkin. So from the beginning of that event to the end, almost every pumpkin, I believe, gets swapped out multiple times.
Yeah.
And they told us about where they get the pumpkins and how big the pumpkins can get to. Really impressive. I mean, like it's I've got a bunch of pictures of that, so I'll put those in.
It's a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
So one time I went to one of those kind of like, they'll get like a big open field and then they'll set up like a fairground like type of thing. But it's like basically like one of those tours where you walk around and people jump out at you and shit like that.
Yeah.
I went to that in, I think it was 2019 because I rolled my ankle really bad in Muay Thai. And I had like a casting on. I was going through in a wheelchair that my friend's mom, who I went with, like lent me to get through. The only problem was it was a fucking fairground, and it was muddy and like
Of course.
just FDRing it through the fucking place,
Yeah.
I had a really good time at that. I've got a picture of that. So, bam, it's me in a Jason Voorhees mask in a wheelchair. Scariest thing I can think of. But yeah, I just like I get why you don't like it, but I love everything about Halloween.
I went to one haunted house once.
Yeah.
With my church.
Ooh.
Don't remember what it was called. It might have been the Haunted Factory or something. It's in Cranston. It's still going. It's still pretty famous. And I had this big hoodie that had Peter Griffin as Che Guevara. Didn't know what that meant. Let me just be clear. I didn't understand. It was my brother's sweatshirt, and I just took it.
I don't know what it means right now.
He didn't know what it meant. You didn't know who Che Guevara was?
Yeah, but Peter Griffin as Che?
Yeah. It was a very weird sweatshirt, but I'm wearing this sweatshirt, and I remember that because we're walking through. It was me, this girl I really wanted to go out with for a long time, and this other girl who was in our grade, and she ended up moving away, but she was like this beautiful girl. And I was with the two of them because nobody else in church was like friendly with me. So we go to this haunted mansion or haunted factory, whatever it was called, and I'll put it up on the screen. And just as soon as it started, I was just like, nah. Like you walk into a room of strobe lights, and there's a guy in a prison costume. He's got the stripes, which with the strobe lights look really weird, and the whole room is whatever. And you're walking through, and he's watching the TV. And goes, ah! And I just wasn't into it, and right away I just went like, put up the hood, put the ears on, was just like, nope. Just and these two girls just like led me through the whole haunted house, and I was just like, nope, don't like it, not a fan. Thank God I got confirmed shortly after that.
Yeah, get out of there.
Get out of the church, yeah.
I'm one of those guys where I go through those things. I'm just deadpan the entire time. I can't help it. It's just like so much shit. I have ADHD, so I'm like fucking constantly like, I'm just like, oh yeah, there's a guy around there. That's where I'd go if I was going to hide and jump out on people. Yeah. They do. Or like when you're on like a haunted hayride, inevitably, whoever found out you can take a chain off a chainsaw and it still makes that fucking noise, but is not a deadly weapon anymore.
Yeah.
Must be fucking raking in dollars for that, right?
Yeah. For I think it was 5th grade, we went on a fall field trip that was right around Halloween to a corn maze. Yeah. And it was shaped like a big pig. And that was fun. I enjoyed that a lot.
Anything shaped like pigs is fun time, baby.
It was a whole field that looked like a big old piggy.
Big old piggy.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else really about Halloween. It's one of those things. It's almost like a blind spot in my life because I just
so many of them like blend together unless there's crazy shit that happens, right?
Yeah, because and I was never one to be like, oh, we're going out to vandalize a bunch of. I was always a Boy Scout and stuff.
I never did the tricks.
No,
I was more of like, give me the treats.
You'd hear about people going up to like, oh, we went to the lad school on Halloween, and it's like, why?
I've been to the lad school a couple times. I tore it down like in the past like 7 years or something like that.
Thank God for that.
I used to camp out there.
Yeah.
Shout out Corky. And we used to camp out there and then do like an urban exploration. We'd break into this place. And then,
for those of you who are not from Rhode Island, the Thomas Ladd School was a place where mentally handicapped people were sent, as well as just like any senator's wife.
teenage mothers, drunkards, anybody. In the early days of its formation, it was very much like a eugenics thing. Like we
Yes.
wanted to keep these people away from the good, law-abiding citizens,
Right.
upstanding.
And it was mostly people who were like autistic or
Yeah, like had seizures or
Right.
anything.
they basically just removed them from the population and put them into this place that was like a facility, but it was horrifying. I mean,
Yeah.
like the facility itself was very poorly run. It was always run down from what I saw.
Yeah, it
And
was in
we worked with people who went there.
Yeah, we worked with people who went there, and like the horror stories of like they bring people into rooms and like hose them down to like wash them.
Yeah.
Just malpractice.
It's just like a real lack of respect for other human beings.
human life. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We worked at a place, he worked there a lot longer than me, but we worked at a place where we worked with mentally challenged adults. And, you ran their day to day from like their group home, and you helped balance their money, and you helped like figure out if they had work schedule or whatever, like what they needed to do out in the world.
Doing laundry. You're basically
Right.
a support
Yeah.
professional. Yeah,
And it was, I had a terrible time. I left really early.
yeah.
But it was good as a life experience to do that for, I think it was a couple of months I was there.
Yeah.
Because you really did learn about something that the public is just completely blind to.
Yeah.
And it's horrifying. But the lads' school was then shut down in like the 90s.
95, I think.
Yeah, and then just like went decrepit, and then people would break in there because there wasn't very good security, if at all, for a long
so
time.
there was the Job Corps that was there, and
Mm-hmm.
then like the Phoenix House, which is like a
The Job Corps also is
rehabilitory thing.
like the Job Corps was for kids who weren't going to make it through school, and
Yeah.
they wanted to put out in the workforce.
Getting a trade, and then you
Yeah.
know, but it was mainly a lot of like vandalisms from
Right.
there.
And the movie that they made about it was crappy, but they made a like crappy horror movie about it.
Yeah.
And basically the whole thing was like you'd go into the lad school and you'd hear things creaking around, and it's like ghosts.
A little bit.
So
So one time I went in there and I got one of those. I went to like CVS or whatever, and you know how you can buy those like foam plastic heads. It looks like a zombie head.
Yeah.
Like that. And in the big round building, we'll put it up there, is like a maintenance ladder to where you can get to the top and like look down on the whole valley, you know, the surrounding forest. And
yeah.
Phoenix House and the Job Corps where the kids are all working and shit. And I found in this maintenance ladder, as I'm going up, there's a little slot here for like, you know, put your toolbox if you're working up, or, you know, so you don't have to bring it the whole way. And before it closed down, I put that head in the like, and it's not realistic looking at all. But
Yeah.
as you're climbing a ladder, it has to be like a fucking
Yeah.
tumble down the fucking thing.
You probably led to the accident that led them to close it down.
Maybe.
So, I guess that's going to wrap it up for this one, because, yeah.
We'll get more spooky as the spooky season goes on. Yes.
I don't know. Will we?
I'm going to get more spooky.
All
Just
right.
because the older I get, the more I look like an 18th century serial killer.
19th century.
I don't know where those women went, police officer.
Yeah, that's 18th century.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
Old,
19th century,
old Ricky
which is
Baby Nails.
1800s.
Murdering by gaslight again.
Pretty much. All right, well, that's going to do it for us here at Don't Start Me Talking.
I am a very spooky Rick Owens.
And I am not.
Bennie Williams.
That's my name.
Good night.